Hi, welcome to a new episode of Sportsy. Let's talk sports. Today we have with us two passionate business guys who happen to play sports together. They played for at multiple level together while their growing up days, but they both are sports fanatic and driven by enabling sports for all. Today we have with us co-founders of Sports for All, Rishikesh Joshi and Vishwas Choksi. Rishikesh is an experienced founder with demonstrated history of working in sports industry. He worked with Mumbai Indians for quite some time since inception, before founding SFA in 2015. Rishi joined with his co-founder Vishwas Choksi, who come from a business house having traditional business but driven by sports towards making India play. Sports for All is an official partner for Indian Olympic team and fully integrated digital plus on-ground multi-sports platform covering 30 plus sports disciplines, both online and on-ground. With the strong focus on strengthening the grassroots sports, SFA believes in identifying, nurturing, and empowering the children of India with access to finest sporting platform and experiences, which in turn will fuel India's journey to the top of the global sporting map. Through this platform that brings all the key stakeholders of sports together, SFA is proud to shoulder the responsibility of fueling the sports aspiration of our children, who in turn will go ahead to represent India at international level in the years to come. So please welcome Rishi and Vishwas, who are enabling sports for all with a tagline, "Let's make our children fall in love with sports. Up Jeetega India." Hi, Rishi and Vishwas. It's great to have you on our platform, Sportsy Let's Talk Sports.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sid, for having us here.
Yeah, Sid, great being on the call.
Yeah, and believe me, it is. We always say that the things are delayed but not denied. So I got it with you guys, and looking forward to this chat because this is one of the most wonderful area that we talk about. We are talking about how sports for all is actually enabling the tagline of "Let's make our children fall in love with sports" or "Ab Jeetega India" kind of tagline. So it's like the chat with both these guys is about enabling sports for all. So viewers and listeners, we have co-founders of Sports for All, Rishikesh Joshi and Vishwas Choksi, and we are going to have a nice chat around the journey.
Yes.
So guys, first question that I always have when I'm talking to the founders or co-founders is, what actually got you into this? Because Rishi, you came from Mumbai Indians, working with them for quite some time after finishing your master's in sports management. Vishwas come from the background of the traditional businesses. So how did you guys come together and start Sports for All?
How did we come together is, we played cricket together. For the longest time, I think we played. I don't even remember when we started playing cricket together, but for so many years we played cricket together. And then I was obviously working in sport, and I think Vish, always wanted to do something with sports, and both of us jammed up one day and said that this is what we'll probably try and do, and I think there's no looking back from there. So it was playing together, and both our experiences of playing together kind of brought us together to start Sports for All, such that we could transform the experiences of millions of others who could play in way better environment conditions than probably we did. So I think it's a very real story.
Yeah, interesting. And so just to come to Vishwas about the same topic, it's like, because after playing, I think Rishi also worked in Mumbai Indians before coming here. But for you, it was after playing, I think it was the other businesses before you actually came into sports. So how did that in between period that you actually survived not being in sports?
So I've always been in sport. I've always played cricket. So we always continued playing. But I think taking sport up as a career has happened a few years back. And like Rishi said, right, that how we played sport as children is exactly how sport is being played today. And if in 25 years nothing has changed, someone has to come in and change it. And hence we decided to take this bold move of transforming grassroots sport in India. And yeah, that's why Ab Jeetega India, because we feel that only when things happen there will actually things happen at the top.
Yeah, I think Ab Jeetega India is something I want to talk about for sure, because I think your association with the Indian Olympic team was something very prominent that we got to see. But when you guys came together for Sports for All, was that the focus always on building the grassroots, like building grounds up thing? Because everybody looks at sports from the elite to participative and then go to grassroots. But I think you guys more focus on the grassroots, then participative, and then the elite side. So how did you actually decide to go with the right? Honestly speaking, I feel that's the right approach. How did you guys actually decide to go with the right approach?
It's our experiences in sport. I mean, I've been an athlete ever since I started from the age of 5, 6, and then, going through that journey for about 30 odd years as an athlete, then as an administrator. It was kind of very natural to feel that way, to say that, if international sport and international athletes can get such amazing platforms and because elite athletes in India now pretty much have, at par, if not better, than some of the other athletes that have across the world, right? And but building some professionally run, all-encompassing platforms at the very start of an athlete's journey is something that has predominantly been missing for the longest time, right? I mean, all your foundations or the governments or the corporates or any of those people, naturally so, will probably look at only the best talent, because there is. So we were pretty clear that, we actually had to dedicate our lives and start a business if we had to look at the grassroots levels with a clear-cut focus, on making sure that from here on we have synergies across the pyramid. So, and in fact, Ab Jeetega India was not a line that came about after we partnered with the Olympics. Ab Jeetega India was conceptualized on day one, right? With Sports for All was when Ab Jeetega India was conceptualized. So to answer your question, we never started off saying ye karenge, and Olympics was not an afterthought. It was literally the journey that we were always going to undertake. So
Yeah. So, and yes, so I think it is that is a journey that you always had. And again, you both played cricket together while growing up, and now focus is more towards the Olympic sport. Yes, you do cricket tournaments and everything as well. But what are the biggest challenges that you face while working? Because a lot of viewers of our channels or listeners of channels are early stage sports management guys, or want to create a business model for small towns and make sure that they can actually start focusing on becoming entrepreneurs. So what were the biggest challenge that you faced in place like India, where sports is not a culture and it is not something that is considered to be in the mark list for parents to even take it seriously? The PE teacher is the most suppressed person in the education system, unfortunately. So what were the challenges that you actually faced while you conceptualized the whole grassroots and bottom level development?
Yeah, so I mean, when we started our first championship, the SFA championships in 2015 in Mumbai, when we went and told schools that this is what we're going to do, multi-sport at DY Patil, that no one believed it, because everybody knew that this is how sport is played and how can you offer us so much, and so everybody thought it was a scam. Of course, from that point onwards, we've done 8 championships between Mumbai and Hyderabad, and we've had 15 to 20,000 kids from 500 schools come in every championship, right? So it's been a journey, and I think we had to show everybody that this is how things can change, and we've just literally started our journey. I think we're 6 years into it, but we feel that we've just started. And I think that's the important part, that once you show people that things can be done differently, I think people start believing it. Again, Rishi always said, and you mentioned at the start, that fall in love with sport. First, you need to attract the children to sport. Then we'll see when and if the champions come out, right? But first, they need to come and play sport. And I think that's what we want to do, right? We want them to come and have a great experience at the SFA championship, and from there, then they might pick up multiple sports or any sport that they like. So that's always been our foundation of how do we get kids to play and enjoy their experience.
Yeah. So Rishi, while Vishwas was talking about SFA championship, I think the whole work around it is also, there is a big challenge that we always talk about is getting funding. Not every time at the grassroots level there is a minimalistic funding that actually comes in. So how did you actually work around on that model to get the partners, right partners in the ecosystem, and what was the basic pitch, because it's the grassroots and development pitch always becomes the emotional one. So how did you actually crack that first hurdle?
That is the challenge, right? Because there's a very nothing can happen without money. That's a first. I mean, that's the reason why we spoke about saying everyone's targeting the leagues and the broadcast level sports and international sport, but nobody is looking at grassroots level sport.
Yeah.
Is because of this reason, right? That it's eyeballs, it's money. Sport is a fan driven economy, right? And from any angle, if you look at sport, it is a fan driven economy. So he said that there can't be more fans than there are fans at grassroots level. The only difference is that these fans are our players itself, right? I mean, because when there are millions of kids playing, I mean, there is an economy that you can definitely generate around something like that. So we did put a lot of our head around it. We had a lot of experiments that we had to do. We had to probably initially do it at free of cost, attract kids, attract the schools. So we did go through a lot of challenges. I mean, life was not simple, is still not simple. But you have to hang on if you have a plan, if you have a strategy. And I believe in this line of saying that hold the vision but trust the process, right? And so we kind of went with it, and here we are still trying to, I mean, say digital, for example, right? I mean, nobody was willing to pay money through the digital medium at one point in time. So we generally tend to start spending money a bit later in India when it comes to any new thing that's coming our way. So yeah, I mean, we did all of that. Easier said than done, but and I think a lot of good people around us, right? I mean, supported us in multiple different ways for us to sustain ourselves initially, very, very initially in 2000. I think Vishwas was one of the first who did it. So, yeah.
But, So, I know it's as you mentioned, it's a process that is there, and it just started with a lot of just vision and the journey, and convincing is how much ever the SFA team is growing, it will never. It's like a grassroots, right? It's never ending process. It's never going to be that I have achieved out, because we're talking about the youngest country in the world with 400 million kids under the age of 18. So I think there is a big mass that in front of us. But Vishwas, how do you think the school is perceived, sports is perceived at the school level in India, which actually creates one of the big challenges? Specifically, let's talk about two tiers. One is the urban tier and one is the other tier. Do we get maximum athletes from the non-urban place who is representing India at the international level, but at the same time urban level is where the money is and some understanding of sports is. So how do you actually see the schools adapting to this model, and both, because you've been working at tier 1 as well as tier 2, tier 3. So how do you see that difference?
So I think in our 6 years, we've really seen that how sport has been looked at has changed, not only from the school but also from the parent, the child itself. So I think everybody is now looking at sport very differently, and because again we've created a competitive environment around it, right? So every school wants to outdo the other school. Every school has a rival school that they want to better. So and that kind of spirit, passion, only competition can bring about. And that's the change that we're bringing about, because nobody wants to be left out of a competition if the Olympics is happening, no country wants to be left out of sending their contingent to the Olympics. The same way is with the SFA championship. So I think because the crux of what we do is competition, whether it's urban, whether it's tier 2, tier 3, it's going to see the same enthusiasm. And in fact, what we see is that tier 2, tier 3 is way more like they're for them it's a do or die. If in Mumbai and all, you have 100 other things to do, right? But when you go to smaller cities, it becomes like the biggest thing happening in the city. So I think that the passion is across all cities, and our job is to kind of ignite that passion when we go there with the SFA championship. So that's how we look at it.
Yep. And in this process, how are you actually infusing the digital side to it? Because finally everything is about visibility. The kids get visibility or the school get visibility. So how are you marrying the offline and online version together to get best out of it?
You mentioned something very interesting at the start, that sports tech companies is what you kind of have a segment for. And for us, for me and Vish, or for SFA or the team at large, right, it was about sport is still best experienced physically, right? Because the values that it brings into human development cannot be compensated with what is happening online. Yes, online in itself has its own advantages. It's got its developmental cycles, etc. But what it does to you as a human being, the core values that sport brings together can only come about in that, it's a very renowned saying that, an hour of play is better than a year of conversation, because that's how you kind of understand people, compassion, camaraderie, sportsmanship, teamwork. All of those values is something that this sport brings, and that's a well established fact. So for us, we obviously built a lot of technology. We continue to build a lot of technology, but technology only to enable more and more kids to play on ground, right? More and more kids that can come and play on, and if SFA as an organization wants to go out there, scale pan India, etc., we won't be able to do justice to all that population that kind of exists there if we do not have a very strong technology backbone. Because technology obviously has its advantages in terms of streamlining processes, bringing about transparency, bringing about consistent experiences. All of that is something what that SFA does. And if we have to go out there and make that claim of Jeetega India, then it's not just about making kids play, but the best kids should also be enabled to reach the top. And that can happen only if you have some data analytics, because millions of kids out there, right? How do you choose who's the best, who's not? You can't go out there talent scouting like you do at the national or state or international level. There's got to be different ways to get there. And so that's the reason why we kind of, from day one itself started building a lot of technology to enable kids to play and also enable kids to learn from their own experiences, right? I mean, if you see yourself play, it's the best way to kind of make a starting point of where I need to improve, right? I can keep watching Roger Federer play, but I can't compare myself to Roger Federer if I cannot see myself play. So I think there are multiple such details that need to come together. And it's very important to understand that we are multi-sport specialists, right? So we operate at this point in time already across 30 odd disciplines of sport on ground itself, right? And to make sure that you are sporting experiences across 30 various different disciplines of sport, be it from fencing to swimming or from shooting to basketball, right? If you have to streamline all of those, then technology is a blessing, and it's the most powerful tool that enables us to do something like that. So we work very hard in terms of building technology to enable as many kids as we can to play on ground.
Interesting. And you just spoke about, I was going to ask you one thing about how many disciplines actually you suggest you'd support, because I had read somewhere 19 or 23, but you're talking about 30 plus now. It's a big bouquet that you have, that you support. That I think out of them, almost 18, 19 must be the Olympic sport out
Yeah,
of
so
30.
19 Olympic disciplines
Hmm.
and the rest are not Olympic disciplines. So 30 sports is what we operate in and have expertise in as well. So
Correct. So while doing all this thing, and in a place like India, and with amazing operations that you guys have, what's your goal?
Uh, we're well crazy with our goals. So I mean, I guess one of
Firstly, you cannot be in sports if you're not crazy.
you cannot be in sports if you're not crazy. You definitely have to be a little crazier if you're in grassroots sports. So
Yes.
yeah, so we are the epitome of craziness in sport. But I think we have this ambition that by the 32 Olympics, Brisbane Olympics, every athlete that goes is a part of the Indian contingent has somehow gone through the SFA process or the SFA route, and that is one of the big goals we have. We I hope at 2036 the Olympics also comes to India, and people are already talking about a top 10 by 32. So let's hope that we are at a top 3 or top 5 by 36. So that's the goal.
yeah, that is the goal, and that's why the Jeetega India kind of comes together, saying that if we can create an ecosystem, a culture at the grassroots level, we'll attract more and more kids to sport. And by 2032, if they've touched the SFA platform in some form or the other, if SFA has made a difference to their lives at whatever stage in their careers, I think me and Vish would be extremely satisfied.
And believe me, in probably 8 years from now, we'll be looking at this interview again, and we'll be talking about who all is going for sure, and just doing the tick mark. Okay, this is the list we have. Wish you all the best for that goal. It's an amazing goal. Finally, that's what we come into sports for. That's what the whole the Tiranga is all about, and that it infuses pride in different level. So why I'm talking about this goal, I just want to talk about one more aspect on the level is, what is SFA's aspiration, inspiration, and motivation? My channel talks about let's aim sports. It's aspiration, inspiration, motivation. So how do these three words fit into SFA's journey?
Aspiration is, that's our job. That's
goal,
what we
yeah.
do, is to be able to get millions of kids to aspire to become, probably let sports be a very integral part of their lives. And the aspiration is obviously for them to, be that gold medalist or that medalist or represent India in some sport or the other. Is that aspiration that we are trying to create. We are trying to ignite minds, right? I mean, sport is an emotion at the end of the day. Whatever said and done, if you cannot create that emotion, there is no sport that kind of happens. So I think aspiration to us is, every decision that we make sitting in our offices is to try and make sure that how much can we get kids to aspire, because that's one. Inspiration. Yeah, please go for it, Vish.
that's called partners.
Yeah. I think inspiration to us is 100% the kids, right? Because when you come to an SFA championship, you'll see 6-year-old playing judo. I mean, it's just beautiful, right? To just to see what sport does to kids, to everybody, right? And to be able to see that. I mean, we have that story where I think 2015 again. I'm going to talk about that, but 2015 when we did our first championships, and when the gates opened at 7 a.m. on the first day, and there was a ramp coming up to the registration, and Rishi and me were standing there. And the second the kids started walking up the ramp and we started seeing them, we both had like tears in our eyes, and we were like, "Oh my God, this is happening!" Right? So that, I mean, if that doesn't inspire you, nothing will. And I think that is that keeps us humble, that keeps us to the ground. Whatever we achieve at the end of the day, when you see that, you know that you have a lot more to do, and that's what keeps us going, I guess.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I
actually,
think,
I can't agree
yeah,
more because, I mean, it's a fight, right? I mean, to put something up together like that, but all of that kind of, comes together when you see that one smile on that
yeah.
child's face, and yeah, that cuts it for us.
So this is so real. So when I say that the elite sport brings all the glamour and the money, but this is real. When we actually want to get, nothing can get more real than this. So yeah. So on this topic, how do you think that this can actually change the India's sporting landscape?
But one second,
Because we have
motivation, you didn't ask us motivation.
okay, sorry, I
Aspiration.
motivation. Yeah, sorry.
I think our motivation is also India, right? It's India motivates us because India is growing in every other field, right? Be it technology, digital, finance, investments, whatever you call it, develop tech, automobile, every sector of India is growing at crazy speeds at this point in time. And that's why I think sport has that much more of an opportunity. Uh, and I don't think an incremental change is going to cut it for us. We need to make radical transformations to get there. So since the radical transformations at the top level of the pyramid, right, be it your leagues or Olympics or international sport, IPL, ISL, etc., is already radically getting transformed there. It's but natural that your, pyramid at the bottom of the pyramid, that layer of the pyramid also needs radical transformation, because even your national level, right, be it the Khelo India initiatives, etc., are also radically transforming themselves. So you can't leave this layer of the pyramid too far behind, right? Otherwise, you will have everything there at the top, but you will not have talent only because there. So the pipeline of talent also needs to grow at the same speed at which everything else on the higher layers of the sporting pyramid of India is growing. So I think India, that's why India becomes the motivation. So yeah.
Excellent. I think, yeah, even though I missed the motivation part and the way you collected to got it together, I think it's so good. And I was actually going to ask the same question about why SFA championships are happening. We had national games, we have Khelo India youth and school and university games. Do you think finally we are as a country finding the pieces of the puzzle and we are going towards right good looking picture?
100%. 100%. I think, once India decides it wants to do something now, the people of India have only made India, right? I mean, we are reaching our 75th year of independence. I don't think no country from the time where we were at in 75 years would have transformed itself. And who's done it? The people have done it. So I think it's a collective people's movement. Yes, it's and every section of society is now have decided that sport is the way to go. And that's why I think that at every level, in every, be it governments, be it federations, be it broadcasters, every part of the ecosystem of sport is really fighting hard, and the desperation is already there that, dude, I want to make it happen now. So I think it's happening. Things are happening so fast, even for us, right? And that kind of gives us the kind of currents that are probably going on in India. So, and that's why the 10-year top 10 countries, I don't think that's very far away. So, yeah.
I'm sure it is not far away. So Vishwas, you spoke about the first time when the kids started walking on the ramp and you actually had goosebumps or tears of joy. So you have done hundreds of tournament championship events across last 7 years of journey. Which has been your most memorable? If I have to ask you, pick one or two. I'll not put on spot with one. Right? Let's say two. Which has been that and why?
It's a very, very difficult. It's like not that I have kids, but it's asking a parent who's your favorite kid, right? It's not going to happen, right? Every championship is dear to us. I mean, it all has its own from from the first one, which was the first one, then the second one where we went straight from 9 sports to 25 sports and 25,000 kids, right? So 1 year it was a crazy leap to going to Hyderabad and starting in a different city. So every championship has its special moments, and I mean that's again what excites us, right? This is just 2 cities. When we start going into all the different parts of the country, we're planning to do something in Dehradun in April, and so we're really excited to be back on the ground. I'm sure every school, every child is going to be excited to be back on the ground, and it's only memorable moments. Like I said, it's beautiful. So yeah, I don't have an answer there.
Perfect. I knew you will not have an answer. It is about, as you rightly said, right? You have to pick one kid out of your kids, so it's not going to be possible. But what has been the biggest validation? Is it from the parent or a kid or a school? What becomes the biggest validation for you?
Oh, again, there are innumerable, validation, right? At every step, every day has kind of kept us going as well, right? I mean, right from, as we said, right, that from the fact that people thought we are a scam to the fact that today every single school wants to participate on an SFA championship platform, in itself is validation. 2,000 schools are now on our platform. That is validation enough. We worked very closely with the Khelo India initiative over the last 4 years. So we were given that opportunity is another validation. I think some of the best minds and the best people in sport are now talking to us to join us in our journey. That again is validation. And we started off from a 50 square feet office into probably a 100 times bigger office today in itself is validation. So there's and that smile right on that child's face, it just makes everything come together. So that fulfillment is unparalleled in that sense.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So
the fact that you are calling us for an interview is validation. So
believe me, this is something that I don't think the Indian sports ecosystem can be completed without having SFA on board for sure. That is where you have made a mark, and what you've been doing. So I know this grassroots and development and sports dialogue can go on for hours together, but just with the limited time, I wanted to come to one last section. The last part of the chat for today is, as an aspiring athlete in India, according to you, what are the biggest challenges that athlete faces, and how SFA can actually help in that journey? Okay,
go for it, Vish.
So again, the first you need to have a place to play, right? You need to be able to show that you want that you are playing and you're talented. So I think that is first you need a platform, and again that's exactly the platform that we're trying to give to everybody, whether we're doing it ourselves or we're doing it with collaborations with others. At the end of the day, the child has to get a platform, and I think once you get that platform, if you want to really go ahead, take it up seriously, then you need to know where to go, whom to go to, how do I go about this, right? Because you may want to do things but you don't know how to go about it, and that's our endeavor, right? If you just want to come and play sport, you can just come and play sport. If you want to pick it up as a hobby, pick it up as a hobby. But if you want to go represent India, or even your city or your state, we want to be able to give that child that road of how it needs to be done, and support and guide and be there for every child who wants to go down that path. And I think and that's what's changing in the country, right? Because that is being looked at a very valid option or by parents also, and I think that's all we can do, and then just create that strong ecosystem and let people figure out their way through it. So I think that's how it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think every day those challenges are reducing, so which is a good thing. But India is a very large country. You know, lot more people need to come into the ecosystem for every nook and corner to kind of get there. We've envisioned something like, when the elections in India happen, that election booth goes to that place even for one vote. Our dream to be able to get that one child from wherever is also something that we would endeavor to do. So, yeah.
I think it is so. I think that I love the analogy that I have to, even there's a one child, I have to be there. I think it's so good, and that talks about one of the biggest challenges that we have is about the intent to play is always there, but a place to play, opportunity to play. I think you guys are creating that opportunity for athletes. Now, talking about the one last part is the opportunity for the people to make career in sports. It's not only about athletes, but the ecosystem of athletes. That with Symbiosis Association with SFA, we've been having a lot of students working with you on internship or full-time placements and all those things, activities happening. So and sports management curriculum and things are coming up for people to take it up as a proper career. So what are your what is the message that you want to give to these people who want to actually make a career in sports beyond playing?
Your passion is only equal to your persistence, is what I would say. It's very important to persist with if so many people come to us and we are so passionate about sport, they may be joining Symbiosis as well, saying that the sports management course, saying that, wow, I want to work in sport. So that it's hard. It takes a little time to kind of stabilize yourself, to learn the ropes. There's no rocket science. That's one thing I want to make clear to everybody, that sport is no rocket science. It's as simple as it could get if you simplify it for yourselves. Just like how an athlete is not developed overnight, it takes 10, 15 years, 17 years of hard work before Neeraj Chopra wins that gold medal, right? It's similar is the journey. You need to be smart about it. You need to have your eyes and ears open. You need to start recognizing opportunities, very fundamentally, very, very logically. I mean, today a lot of people come to interviews to companies for sports, especially. I don't know anything else, but sports, and they don't even know what company they are walking into, right? They don't even know where that company is earning their money from. They don't even know what it takes to put all of this together, right? So I think that basic sensibilities of understand, even when they are working on ground, right? I see a lot of interns, a lot of these guys, they're working, okay, ये बोला गया है, ये करूंगा. अरे पर तुमको 2 घंटे दिमाग तो कोई बंद नहीं कर सकता, आपको सोचने से कोई नहीं रोक सकता, तो सोचो, थोड़े और क्वेश्चंस पूछो, और be inquisitive, be curious, try and understand the challenges, practicalities, and I think colleges have started, right? So many. I mean, when we went there, I had to go to Australia to study. India में कुछ था ही नहीं, about 18-20 years ago, right? So those practical understanding, know-how, knowledge, right? पैसा कहाँ से कमाते हैं, वो बहुत जरूरी, क्योंकि सबको सैलरी तो चाहिए ना. So वो सैलरी मांगते हैं पर पता नहीं कमाने का कहाँ से, right? I think it kind of starts from there, and and there's just one fine line we keep talking about, right? Saying that we are dealing with kids, so and it's sport, so we would not like to commoditize the kids in our minds and hearts, right? The minute you start looking at kids as a commodity, then you lose the emotion. So that's where the trick is, right? Ultimately, is to be able to have that fine balance of emotion and commercialization melted into each other, right? And things kind of start flowing better that way. That's what I would say.
I think very rightly said, and it's a great chat. I'm sure there's a lot to be discussed, and we'll hopefully have that in person soon to take it forward. But I think, guys, it's kudos to you the way you started. It's not easy. It's to be with the grassroots and make that convincing. It takes a lot of convincing for people to take sports seriously and take it forward. I think it's a the journey is only upward from here. There is no looking back, and I'm sure the way you talk about let's make our children fall in love with sports and up Jeetega India. I think that is something a very powerful statement from you guys, and wish you all the best for that. And I look forward to be part of the journey wherever the time and venue permits.
100%. Thank you so much, Sid.
Thank you, Sid, and thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Yeah. When you come to
My
Bombay, come
pleasure.
over to our office. We'll chat.
Yes, we'll be there soon.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Take
100%.
care and stay
Okay,
safe.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and thank you for sharing. But please do subscribe to our channel SportsySays and help us spread the word about Sportsy. We go with the same handle SportsySays across all the social media platforms and podcast.